That's not the end all be all. I always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. I don't really. People talk big three, but the big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three.
Lord Jesus.
I wouldn't do that just yet, because your ass is mine.
Fanboys.
This is a sick Negro.
The marathon continues. And I can't lie, this is making me sick to my stomach. Chris Bosh, do you see how they disrespecting you? This is one of the times that we gotta thank God for the internet. Can you imagine if LaFody James didn't have the internet, what type of lies he would be spilling on the airways? Just in case you've been hiding under a rock, Rich Paul went on the Pat McAfee show and said that the Miami Heat were not a big three. Fanboys, you know I'm not finna let you live for Rich Paul saying this. Did Rich Paul forget that people were alive when they formed the big three in Miami? Did Rich Paul forget there was a whole decision for LaFody James to join the big three? Did he forget there was a whole entire welcome party for the big three in Miami, man? But what we gonna do is we gonna play the clip of Rich Paul saying this garbage coming out of his mouth, and I'm gonna go ahead and finish him off. I'm gonna lay him to rest after this clip. Let's get into it.
That's not the end all be all. I always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. I don't really. People talk big three, but the big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. There was three guys that went in the lottery, and they did really well individually on their team. So they put up big numbers and had big accomplishments. But when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat, and he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. When you look in Boston, okay, you can say Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was a big three. Again, thinking about names, but the way that offense was ran, Rondo's capability during that time, it was a lot different. When you've seen people go for that, it never really worked. And I've had this conversation with several different, owners of teams.
Rich Paul is up there working his hips.
Okay, so we go 1, 2. That's it. That's it.
Did y'all see Pat McAfee's face when Rich Paul said they wasn't a big three? Look how he looks at him.
Miami, that wasn't really a big three. There was three guys that were...
Even Pat McAfee like, oh my God, he full of shit. You need somebody in your life to defend you like Rich Paul. That's one thing I'm gonna give LaFody credit for. Man, his Glazers are strong. Their power level is over 9,000, man. These guys come out of the woodworks saying the most asinine shit that you will ever hear in your life. Chris Bosh is an 11-time All-Star. Chris Bosh was second team All-NBA in the 06-07 season. He would have had more All-NBAs, but his position was stacked at that point in time in the league. You got to battle with All-NBAs over Duncan, KG, Dirk. You had Amari that was going crazy. You had Pau Gasol, LaMarcus Aldridge, Zach Randolph. Then you had a point in time where they were just giving small forwards the power forward position. They had Kevin Durant and LaFody James mentioned as forwards in the All-NBA teams, man. Knock it off.
Let me work. Please let me work. Get that water. He about to get this work. He about to get this work.
Did LaFody James forget who got the offensive rebound and passed it to Ray Allen to save his legacy? If you're an NBA player, you would be a fool to team up with this bum. All the sacrifices that you will have to make as a player so he can gain all of the credit and you can take all of the blame when you lose. Man, Chris Bosh went through so much turmoil dealing with this bum. I remember Skip Bayless calling him Bosh Spice. You know, Bosh was a little flexible. You know what I'm saying? We can't act like Bosh wasn't a little flexible, but Chris Bosh was a hell of a player. If it wasn't for the blood clots, Chris Bosh would have been doing his thing on the Miami Heat without LaFody James. And don't get me started on Toronto Raptors Chris Bosh. Man, he was a monster. Rich Paul really got up here and said they were 3 lottery guys who individually. This is sick, man. To diminish what Chris Bosh brought to your team, but say, oh, he was a professional. How about you be professional? Be professional and give him his credit when credit is due. Chris Bosh had to do the dirty work. He had to get in where he fit in. There is only one basketball. You got 3 All-NBA players, 1 basketball. And the so-called best player on the team couldn't play without the basketball in his hand. Matter of fact, Chris Bosh averaged more than LaFody James against the Dallas Mavericks, man. Imagine how bad they would have lost without Chris Bosh's 18.5 per game. Chris Bosh would be a monster today. Do you understand what Chris Bosh would do in this era today? Fanboys, you gotta stop this. Rich Paul, you need help. Somebody call Rich Paul so he can get some help.
What do you see in big game?
Bonehead. I don't, you know, look.
Chris Bosh was a top 15 player in the NBA. He finished 7th in the MVP voting in 2007, and he was 12th in 2010. Rich Paul is making it seem like he was just a jag, like he was just a guy on the Miami Heat. He was a professional guy with a high IQ that just made things work.
Bullshit.
We gotta call the police, man. I can't, man. This is felony levels of lying. He should be charged with 7 felonies just for lying. Hey, Kyrie and Kevin Love, I hope you taking notes. I hope you got your stories ready because, hey, they coming for you too. They gonna say that y'all were just guys. You were just a jag on the team and LeBron carried you to a championship. You already see what they done did to Anthony Davis. They make Anthony Davis look like an afterthought. Like Anthony Davis didn't do nothing for the Lakers. Anthony Davis was the anchor for the Lakers, man. Dog, I watched Anthony Davis give them 40 and 20 at the NBA in-season tournament, and they gave the MVP to LaFody James. Luka Doncic, I hope you're watching, man, because now they finna give LeBron credit for you getting into shape. They finna give LaFody credit for helping you get into shape. They gonna give LaFody credit if y'all win a championship. Y'all know that, right? Fanboys, you know this is just the ultimate level of disrespect. How can you stand behind a man as phony as this? I'm glad this didn't come from LaFody's mouth because I'll be going even crazy. But you know, this is coming from LaFody's mouth because Rich Paul is an extension of LaFody James. Like, where do they get the brain power to think of this stuff? These guys gotta be having ultra think tanks, man. There's no way you can sit there with a sane mind and say that Chris Bosh was just a guy. Knock it off. This is almost worse than LaFody James trying to explain him learning the process of him winning championships.
What I did not know or you know, what I did not have, I didn't have enough accumulative hours put in on perfecting the process.
Yep.
Part of it was, you know, me being young. And obviously, you know, you play some superior teams, but at the end of the day, I don't think that, you know, my process was where it needed to be, or even if I even had enough time for my process to be where it needed to be. And I didn't win a championship, I believe, until I finally was understanding and had the ability, as far as my capacity, to understand the process, to unlock the process, and then go after it. And just stay there, stay that course.
Steve Nash looking like, damn, this a dirty motherfucker. God, you're so sad, LeBron. I can't believe I'm resorting to do this for a job. I go from back-to-back MVPs to begging LaFody James for a damn job. What happened to me? Didn't I tell you this guy was evil? This is pure evil, to diminish another man's legacy, his career, all his hard work that he's put in since a child into this game that we love called basketball. This is the ultimate level of disrespect. And it's the part of the video where I need y'all to beat the comment section up. Did LaFody James send Rich Paul on Pat McAfee to correct his legacy? Is Rich Paul full of shit? Complete shit. Let me know down in the comment section. Will they try to change the narrative for Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Anthony Davis, and Luka Doncic? Hit me with the HBO special. Help a brother out with some likes, comment, and subscribe. It's 93 Zay, and I'm out this thing.